Hello guys, in this video we are going to go over some basic commands that you can do from the command line interface of a CheckPoint firewall. And we're going to be using the CheckPoint number 2. And I already logged in. If you haven't logged in, go ahead and log in. So the first one that you need to know is the show command. So in the show command, it basically lets you see configurations that we have. If you press the tab button, the tab or the tab key, what this does is it would autocomplete to the part that is unique, and it will show you additional syntax as well. So if you do a show interface and you do a tab, you can see that since it wasn't unique, it went ahead and listed all the additional syntax that we have over here. If we type a int, it is now only going to show interface and interfaces. So let's go ahead and do tab with the inte. There we go. So you can see show interface and show interfaces, but if I type an S, now it will get rid of the interface because it doesn't match, and it will show only interfaces. Let's go ahead and hit tab. You see it right here, tab. And if you hit tab again, it will only list whatever we have left, which is all. So show interfaces all, that's the command that we want to do, right? So if you press enter to see that command, this one is going to show or list all the interfaces that we have in this checkpoint environment. So there's also a couple of key that we need to know. One is the enter. If we press enter, it will give you one extra line, as you can see right here. If you press the space bar, it will give you another page. So let's go ahead and do the space bar. You can see right here, so it will give you another full page. That's what a space bar. And the enter will give you just one extra line. Okay, but if you type quit, it will take you out of it. So if you type not quit, but the Q, it will exit out of it. So let's go ahead and go back. Show interfaces all again. Press enter. It will give you one. It will give you one line at a time. If you press space, it will give you one page at a time. If you want to get out of it, you are going to press the Q key, and that takes you out of it, right? So let's go ahead and do a show interfaces again, and we can see that for interface Ethernet 0, you can see the state is on. You can see the layer 2 address. You can see the link state is up. You can see the MTU, negotiation, speed, duplex mode, the layer 3 address, which is the IPv4 address. We don't have anything configured for IPv6. And then if you press enter to see more, you can see the stats for that Ethernet 0, and then we move on into interface Ethernet 1. But you can see the state is on, so it is on. You can see the speed, IPv4 address, IPv6 address. You can also see the MAC address and all that good stuff. So now let's go ahead and do quit since we're done, or press Q to quit, to exit out of it. And then another interface, another show interface that you can do is you do a show interface says, press enter, and this one, what it does is it gives you shows you a list of the interfaces that we have available. So we have Ethernet 0, 1, 2, 3, and also the loopback interface. Another one that you can do if you just want to bring up a specific interface, what you can do is interface show interface, and then you type the name of the interface. There we go, and that only shows you the Ethernet 0 because that's the one that we wanted. And it doesn't show you all of them like when we do for show interfaces all. So we only give you this specific interface that we wanted. Okay, and if you want to see the configuration, you can just do a show CON, and let's go ahead and press tab, config. So there's this tool, which is the config log. We don't want to see that. You can see the config state, but we want to go just to configuration. So if we type the U over here and press tab, it will autocomplete. Then we press enter, and you can see the entire configuration over here. You can see everything we have configured in this CheckPoint firewall. And if we go down into, let's say where we at, so yeah, you can see the interfaces. So you can see that set interface Ethernet 1 link speed, it was set to 1000 megabytes, and it also full. So if we do this same command over here, it will change the IP address of Ethernet 1, also of the loopback address. You can see that it set interface loopback stayed on, and you can see the IPv4 address. The mask length is 8. So if you want to change, let's say or add one for Ethernet 3, you first want to do the set interface Ethernet 3 and then give it that IP address. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's also the state. Let's go ahead and bring it up. So if we do a set interface tab, then if you give it that you want to configure the Ethernet 3, right? And what do you want to do? If you do tab, it will show you what you could do next. If you do IPv4 address, that would autocomplete. What do we have next? You can press tab. You can go ahead and give it an IP address now of 192.168.3.1. What's next? Next tab. So you can either do a subnet mask or a mask length. So let's go ahead and give it a mask length, and let's go ahead and say 24. And then you can do a set interface Ethernet 3 state. The state is to turn on that interface on. There we go. So now if we do a show interface, we want to see Ethernet 3. You can see now that we have a MAC address. The link is up, the state is up, right? Because we set it to the state is on, so the link is up. You can see that monitor mode is off for this one. You can see the IPv4 address that we just configured. But now the thing is that all these changes that we made are basically saved in the RAM. So if they're only saved in the RAM, when you reboot, all these settings are going to go away. So if you want to save this configuration, so stay there whenever you do a reboot, you want to do a save config, and that will save your configuration even after you do a reboot. Hello guys, in this video we are going to take a look how the lock works, and whenever you're using the command line interface, or whenever you are in the web GUI or in the smart console. So let's go ahead and log into the web GUI of, this is going to be firewall 1. So we are going to go to firewall 1 right now. And what we're going to do to demonstrate this, how the lock works. How the lock works is basically that there's only one user that is able to make configuration at a time. So if one is making configuration, it is going to lock the other guy. And if I am making the configuration or making changes, it is going to lock me, and I won't be able to do it unless I release that lock. So if we go, let's go ahead and create a new user. So let's go ahead and go to users. Go ahead and add a new one. We are going to call it Ted password. And let's go ahead and give it access to the web and to the CLI, and it's going to be a admin. So let's go ahead and create that role. So that role has been created, and you can see that we are the one that have the lock because we are the one basically making the changes. So now if we go back to the command line and we go ahead and remote with Ted, let's see what it tells you. Ted. And you can see right now that you have remote, and but it tells you right away that there is a configuration lock and it's owned by admin. You know, and you can use the command lock data override to acquire the lock, because if you don't acquire the lock, you won't be able to make any changes at all. Like if you do a set interface, let's say Ethernet 0 status or state on, it won't let you do it because you don't have the lock. The lock right now is on, like it tells you right now, it is owned by somebody. And how can you figure out who has it? If you do a show config lock, let me say config lock, it will tell you who is the one making the changes right now. So the configuration lock is done by admin from 10.1.1.1. So it tells you where he is connected from 10.1.1.1, and they are using the web interface, and that was and it's going to expire in 1100 seconds. That's when it's going to expire. So you can see that the admin has the lock. So now if you want to make some changes and if you want to get rid of this lock, what you can do is you can do a lock database override. And now if you go and do a set interface state on, it won't tell you that the admin has a lock, and it will let you actually make some changes. But now if the admin who is logging via the web GUI wants to make some changes, right, let's go ahead and just click on something else so you can see it. It will tell you right away that there is a configuration lock, and you cannot make any changes. It doesn't let you do anything. As you can see, if you double click on anything, it won't let you do anything. And the way for you to acquire the lock or to get rid of the lock from the web GUI is just by pressing this button over here. Are you sure? Press yes, and there we go. So now if we go back over here, we want to set that interface back again. It said that it fell because the lock is on. And who has the lock? If you do a show config lock, it will tell you who has it and where he's connected from and how he's connected from and how it's connected. And if you do a lock database override, it will get rid of it, and then you will be able to do the set interface Ethernet 0 state on. So that's how the lock override works and how you are able to make changes to the firewall from one user. And if the other user needs to get on, you can just do a lock override from the CLI, or you can just go ahead and press this button over here and it will let you make changes to the firewall. Hey, we are going to now go over the cp view command, and in this command basically lets you view the CPU usage. It gives you a lot of good stats. Let's say that, for example, your firewall was slow or it was slowed down. There was a spike in the CPU usage. You can use this command and it will tell you, or you can see like why the CPU usage spiked, right? If you have an alarm set to, if the CPU usage spiked to more than 90%, to send you a message, and you got that message, and then you want to see why your CPU spiked, you know why that was happening. You can do a CPU and you can go to that a specific time and it will give you all the stats. Not only CPU, it will give you a lot more stats. So let's go ahead and go that. We are going to go into the CheckPoint firewall number 1, and we are going to log into it. Okay, so and the command is the cp view, and if you do cp view and if you do -- help, this one will give you the flags that you can use to basically see what you want to see. The one that we're going to be using is going to be the T, which is going to give you a show history content, and it's going to show you the oldest available content or from a given timestamp, right? That's what we're going to be using. And if you want to use other flags like the I, it will give you like the count history on it. So from this help command, you can decide how you want to view the CPU, right? So let's go ahead and do the one that I want to do is CPU cp view, and I'm going to do -T because I'm going to give it a time. And from here I want to give it a time of August 8 2020, and I want to take a look at 9:10 p.m. And if you do that, it will show up this CPU view. And the first thing you can see is that you can see where we are. CPU, we are in the overview tab, so it tells you right here, overview. It tells you the date that we're in, August 8, 2020 at 9:10 p.m. You can see the CPU, how many numbers of CPU were running at that time. We were running 4 of them. 3 of them were at 1%, and the other one was at 3 of them were at 2%, and 1 of them was at 1%. And you can see the memory. It will give you also stats for the memory at that specific time. You can see the physical memory, how much we were using, how much we have free. The firewall kernel, you can see that as well, how much we were using. The swap, you can see all of that. And if you want to move on the time, let's say that you want to see the 21:10, the 9:10 p.m., you can just hit the plus button, and that will move on in minutes. As you can see, we are now at 21:11, so 9:11. If you want to hit the plus button again, it will give you the 21:12, 21:13. So you can see all of that at each specific time. And the plus just moves on or moves up every minute. If you want to go back, you can just do the minus button, and that will take you back to whatever you want to go back to, as you can see right here. Okay, and if you want to move on along this, what you want to do is or if you want to see more, if you want to see more information, like for the network, you can do the arrow pointing down, the down arrow, and you can see more for like the network. You can see the bits per second, you can see the packets per second, the connections, the concurrent connections. It will also give you the disk space. You can see the space that we have. And if you want to go and see the system information, you just want to hit the arrow key, the right arrow key, and that will take you to the system information. And that will give you, what platform we're using, Gaia 64-bit, the configuration, security gateway, the cluster status, the secure XL status, core XL, and all that. If you want to see more information, you can just press the down arrow, and that will take you down over here. You can see the branch name is Hugo1. You can see the build number. You can see a lot of the good stuff. And if you want to go ahead and move on to the network tab, press the right arrow, and you can see all the network traffic. And in the network, you can see that it gives you traffic interfaces, top protocols, and top connections. If you want to move on to that, you can just press the down arrow and then move on to the right, and you can see all that information over here. And even from over here, if you want to move on to 9/11, you can go ahead and press the plus button. You can see right here the minus button or the negative button, and it will take you back. You can see the top connections. You want to move on time, no connections. If you want to see the CPU, it will give you all the CPU from over here. But the overview will give you like an overview of every single one of them. It will give you a system info, network, CPU, software, and all that good stuff. But if you go to the CPU blades, we can see what we have enabled and what we have disabled. You can see that at this time we had the application control enabled. Let's see if we can move on time and see if we enable any of this. It doesn't look like nothing, no history. I guess it was off at that time, but you can see it was still, all of them were still disabled besides the application control, which was enabled. And if you go to advanced, it will just give you more advanced stats like the CPU profiler, memory, network, secure XL, cluster XL, core XL, priority queue, streaming, RAD, and UP and HTTP parser. So you can get a lot of information from here. As you can see, that is the CPU or the CP view. And if you want to get out of here, you want to press the Q key, and that will take you out to the command line. So that was it for this video, guys.